Quibo 99.1 FM.
Burby's 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. Kevin Smith here. Let's get to the news in detail. Senior Minister in the Office of the President with responsibility for finance, Dr. Ashni Singh, on Friday presented the 2021 budget for Ghana at a whopping $383.1 billion, but with no changes in the vision of the PPPC for the oil industry. The budget effectively builds on the promises made in the manifesto the party used to contest the 2020 general and regional elections. These promises were largely based on capacity building for monitoring agencies. The budget says through the inaugural speech made by President Tairfanali the day before, which made no promise to renegotiate the controversial Stabroek Block production sharing agreement or to secure unlimited liability insurance for Ghana in the case of large-scale oil-related disasters, such as oil spills. And now let's tell you, President Tairfanali, in his maiden address to the National Assembly, made a commitment to publish particulars of all revenue and expenditure of Ghana's oil sector in the official gazette. This, he said, will allow ordinary Guyanese citizens to track the transactions to better hold government accountable for every cent earned from the industry and for every cent that is spent. President Ali relayed that to accomplish that mandate, legislation will be introduced to make the senior minister with responsibility for finance and the finance secretary responsible for publishing the details. And if this is not done, they will be, and I quote, punished severely under the law. And moving on, government has budgeted an additional $2.5 billion to complete the already $150 million and counting Chadi Chagan International Airport. Senior Minister in the Office of the President, Dr. Ashni Singh, made this another announcement on Friday. Dr. Singh reminded the sitting that upon assuming office, confronting the PPPC was a modified and poorly resigned CJIA. And moving on, 9 months after losing the house he lived in a fire, Anthony Giddings of Pitt Street, New Amsterdam, was stabbed to death by the woman he lived with after the house was burned to the ground. Giddings took up residence with his alleged killer. In custody is 43-year-old Anita Hanuman. Meanwhile, Dr. Ashni Singh in the National Assembly said that central government's revenue for 2020 totaled $227.4 billion. He was keen to note that the tax collection accounted for 96% of this revenue, amounting to $218.3 billion. And moving on, a police sergeant on Thursday night reportedly shot his reputed wife to her neck and dropped her off at a hospital after she ended a relationship with him. The suspect has been identified as Colin White, the station sergeant for the Blairmount Police Station. The injured woman was identified as Shanetta James, a special constable who shared a 4-year relationship with White and has 2 children together. The investigation into the shooting is ongoing. And finally, let's tell you the Ministry of Health today reported 26 new COVID-19 infections via its daily dashboard update. The total number of confirmed cases has increased to 8,207. The dashboard indicates that of the new infections, Region 4 accounted for 17, while Regions 2, 9 and 10 were the only regions recording no new cases. The dashboard also shows that 8 patients are in the COVID-19 ICU, 28 in institutional quarantine, 40 in institutional isolation, and 594 in approved home isolation. The COVID-19 death toll remains at 186, with 7,379 persons have recovered from the virus and 98 new recoveries recorded today.
And that's the news of the moment. Remember to get the full details of these stories, pick up a